Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast. I am your host, Alex Harriman. This is my co-host, Jerrika and Alex, and we are the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness, bringing you another episode of our podcast.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. You good? What's new in your world?
New in my world. Well, I don't know if we've had a chance to really talk about it, but Emerson started school last week. And so that's kind of,
Some pictures.
yeah, that's been like the biggest change for me lately is summer. So my wife's a teacher, so Devin's a teacher. She was off for the summer. Emerson was out of daycare for the summer. So we spent a ton of family time together in the summer, and now they're both off to school and I'm at home alone. And it's so strange. Over the past 4 years, I've spent so many days with Emerson, and then just like putting him on that bus, and it's like, okay, buddy, you're there full time now. It is such a strange, unusual feeling. It's he's absolutely loving it. So it's not a hard adjustment for him, but it's definitely weird for me. Yeah, maybe a little bit. It might have sat in the eyelid.
Yeah.
But it's cool. Like he's having so much fun, and every day he's bringing home new stories. He still doesn't know any of his friends' names for some reason. Every time I ask him, like, what are your friends' names? He's like, I didn't ask them. Like, hey, you need to ask them.
Yeah.
I played with lots of friends today. Yeah, but he's having fun. So that's kind of where I'm at. So now I'm taking the daytime to work on business as opposed to nighttime when he's sleeping. So that's been a nice transition for me.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Really nice.
Yeah.
What do you got for us today?
Today, I wanted to go over some of the Breaking 90 guiding principles. So we've got a couple guiding principles, I call them, a couple things that we really preach and we really stand behind. The last episode we did talk about discipline over motivation, which is one of the 4 big ones that I like to stand behind. So discipline over motivation for sure is a big one. And most of these guiding principles, I mean, at some point or another, have been stolen from another coach or another trainer, or another system. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that we made them all up by any means, but I think that they're the really important ones and the ones that Breaking 90 Fitness really supports and stands behind. So just quickly, discipline over motivation is one of them. And what that really means is creating the discipline to get to your goals without always relying on motivation. So if you've listened to the last episode, you know exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't, I would encourage you to go listen to that. We're not going to spend a ton of time on that part of this topic today. But really, what it comes down to is motivation's not always going to be there. It comes and goes in waves. And if we create discipline properly, then we won't need to always rely on motivation to get to our goals. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly touch on what the other 3 are, and then we can kind of take a little bit of a deep dive into each one. So the first one that I wanted to mention is something over nothing.
Yep.
The second one is consistency over intensity.
Yes.
And then the one that I haven't talked about too much, but I really, really like the message that it delivers, and I'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into this one, is purpose over pleasure.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I've been starting to talk about it with a lot of our clients lately, and I think it's got a really cool message. So starting with something over nothing, give me the Cole's notes of what that means to you.
I think early on in our podcast we had a little chat about it, but in my mind, and often we see is that all or nothing mindset. So I think they have a lot to do with the something over nothing, in that anything is better than nothing, right? If you were to wake up and you had an hour workout planned, but something came up, something happened, and now you have 10 minutes. Oftentimes it's a throw it out the window, I'll try again tomorrow, right? But our values is that we want to take that 10 minutes and get some type of movement in, whether it's a 10-minute circuit or a 10-minute walk. We want you to prioritize the time that you have and remember that doing anything is always better than nothing. And that also can, food, nutrition, right? you might be starving on the road, and you might just grab and go something, but we want to try meal prep or prepare something so that we're not scrambling.
Absolutely. That what you said there, it's funny because this morning I actually did a 5-minute circuit. And it sounds hilarious, but I did a 5-minute workout this morning before we started filming this podcast. And what it was I rode for 1 minute, I did push-ups and chin-ups until I couldn't any longer, and then I rode for another minute. And that was that. Like, I'll probably do something else later today, but I knew that I needed a movement break, and I knew my body needed that before I sat down, and it was something over nothing.
Absolutely. And I mean, it probably helped your like mental clarity because you've likely been sitting at a computer, and I push that with my massage therapy clients, and a lot of them spend hours and hours on day sitting at a computer at a desk. If you have 5 minutes, which most them do, right? They have 5 minutes to walk down the hall, chit chat coworker. So why can't you, walk down the hall and shove your hand on the wall and do a chest stretch to help your posture? It's always something is better than nothing, and in my mind, there's really no excuses for that kind of stuff when it comes to the small time frames.
A lot of times when people first start out with us, we don't even start them with any workouts, and they find that surprising because they kind of expect their first day with Breaking 90 Fitness to just be full of like an intense workout. Like, I'm jumping into this day one, and it's gonna be crazy hard, and these workouts are gonna crush me.
I'm so sore. No.
And so what they'll be surprised is, depending on the person's situation, because everybody's situation is different. Some people will start with a workout, some people won't. Some people start by walking, but we'll always have them start with purposeful movement, like we talk about all the time. And at first, that's often enough to get the wheel spinning for people, right?
To find something that they enjoy doing.
Something they enjoy, or even just going for a walk. A lot of people get stressed out thinking, how am I going to fit this hour-long workout into my schedule? So we'll just start with that 10-minute circuit or that 20-minute walk or whatever that might look like. But it really makes a difference, especially when you're getting started out, or when you have a setback or a roadblock on your journey. Just thinking, what is something I can commit to today that might not be as good as what I'm capable of, but it's definitely better than me doing nothing.
And I think it's worth if you have a coach or someone, and I think that's the benefits of having a coach, is you can have that conversation. So, this week I don't have that time slot. Instead of feeling maybe beat down because I didn't do my full prescribed 45-minute workout, that's where we come in and we can switch that out for maybe a 10-minute workout, and you still feel successful because you completed it, you got your 10 minutes in, did the workout, and on you go. That's definitely a big plus to having someone with you.
I think it's good that you also highlighted the nutrition aspect of it, because that's also huge, is not letting your nutrition completely flop on an off day. If you're gone on vacation, it's not that excuse to fall into that all or nothing mindset. Still, making a few good choices is better than making no good choices. And I know we've talked about that lots, and we might end up even doing a full episode on this in the future. So we don't have to take a deep dive into it, but I think it's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, definitely. Even some of the people who won't eat, right, because they don't have time. Right? It's trying to find a little snack, or making it could be anything, like cutting up carrots could be just so small that we'd rather you have something eating all, because that could lead potentially to that evening binge that we try to avoid.
I think we see that a lot, even in people who really like to try intermittent fasting, is where they fast till they're allowed to start eating, and then once the food is allowed, they often turn to the wrong choices, because it's like, finally I can eat. And I'm not saying that for everybody, because intermittent fasting is a great tool for some people, but that's something that I've certainly experienced and seen with people in the past, when they get finally allowed to get to that nutrition window.
Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna move on to the second one. And just give me 1 second. So that brings us to the second of the guiding principles that I mentioned, which is consistency over intensity. And what this one really means to me is that you need to put action steps into your life, into your plan, that you can consistently stick to. Everybody wants to take the intense approach. Everybody wants to take the extreme quick fix approach, but you need to think, am I realistically going to be able to do this long term? So where we see this a lot is both in exercise and nutrition. When we see it in exercise, people will often come off a hiatus for whatever that reason is, and they'll go 100% right out of the gate, 5 days a week, 2-hour workouts, killing themselves in the gym, can't move the next week, fall off the rails completely. What are your thoughts on that, Jay?
I think too, with consistency over intensity, you have to picture it as like they go so intense with the program, right? Or whatever you're doing, you're pushing so hard, then you end up feeling sore or feeling depleted. And then now are your next 3 days beneficial to you in any way, shape, or form, right? So
Yeah.
realizing that maybe pulling back on a little bit of the intensity off the hop is going to allow for that. And then you mentioned that like previously, how we maybe only start you at 10 minutes of movement and we slowly increase instead of just jamming you with a 45-minute workout and making you sore and uncomfortable. We'd rather you find that happy medium for the first bit, so that we know you're going to be consistent with your workouts, consistent with your nutrition, or whatever habits and action steps that you've decided to create for your sustainable weight loss.
Yeah, for sure. And nutrition is another huge part of that, because it's the exact same, people respond to the exact same way. It's that all or nothing mindset that we talk about all the time. They Monday I start my new diet and I'm not going to eat any more sugar and any more junk food, and I'm going to follow all of these strict guidelines. I won't have any alcohol. And of course, you're going to get quick results at first if you drastically change your nutrition, but can you stick to it for the long term? Because consistent action is going to get you better results than intense action. And what intense means in the kitchen is being so strict that you can't stick to it. If you do that for 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, you will get a fast win, but you will fall off for sure. If you're not already eating like that and you're turning your life around 180 degrees, there's no way you're sticking to that nutrition. You have to be able to build in some of the things you love, some of the things you enjoy, the things that are important to you.
And that's really important with what we do at B90 is it's also the unplanned events, right? So someone might be on that month-long challenge and that quick fix, but all of a sudden an unplanned event comes and they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to deal with it, right? Because they haven't been taught that sustainable, consistent approach. So that's something that we really try to push with our clients, is understanding and feeling comfortable with, okay, it's an unplanned event tonight. I know how to approach this. I know how to continue on.
Yeah, and if somebody gets into that, where so we have what we consider like a perfect nutrition day and an unperfect, and I don't like to say perfect because it's not really about perfect, but if somebody gets into that cycle where they're smoking every single day, they're nailing it every single day, I actually encourage them to take a day off. Not a day off, but a day where you're not really strict. You're not within your guidelines. Maybe you have a couple extra snacks or a drink, or you order food that night. And people find that strange because they're like, why are you telling me to veer off the plan? But it's exactly that. You need to learn how to navigate those obstacles before one arises, before you get caught at a barbecue or a party and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do with this food. You need to learn how to navigate those days. So I think that's huge, super important.
Purpose over pleasure.
Purpose over pleasure. So this is the last one we haven't touched on too much. And so I think this is, you can almost use this as a question for yourself as a test. So whenever you are struggling to decide, should I eat this? Should I not eat this? This one really, really applies to the kitchen. What you need to ask yourself, and I think this is really cool, is you ask, am I doing this for purpose or am I doing this for pleasure? And I don't mean that in an extreme manner, like you should never eat for pleasure. But if the pleasure has no purpose, then it's often not worth it. So what that means, like if it's your birthday and your family's there celebrating with you, that has a purpose because it's a family event, and the purpose is that it's a connection. You're making that meaningful connection with family. So that's different. If it's your kid's birthday and you are the only one not eating a piece of cake with your kid, they're going to remember that. It's important that you enjoy and you celebrate in that family connection. Do you have to stuff yourself? No, but it's not going to hurt you to have a sliver of cake. That is not going to hurt your journey. That's not the problem here. When I say, is it only for pleasure? I mean, like, are you getting any purpose out of this? Are you eating 3 extra pieces of pizza than you needed to eat? Are you eating alone? Are you making a choice that has no significance at all? Like you're sitting at home and you're making dinner, and it's you have the choice of making something healthy or making something unhealthy, and you're just making it unhealthy because you want the pleasure of eating. Well, these are the times when you have to really consider the purpose over pleasure, because if we eat with a purpose, so we eat to fuel our body, we eat to make ourselves feel better, we eat for those connections, those family connections, those friend connections, then that tip alone is going to start drastically changing the way that you look at food, the way you think about food, and the way that food fuels you and the outcome you get from it. What are your thoughts on this whole guiding principle?
I know you said that it applies mainly or only to nutrition, but I actually see how this can apply to exercise as well, in the sense that am I choosing to sit on the couch tonight for a purpose or for pleasure? Right? If I'm injured or I'm mentally exhausted, I'm physically exhausted. So I'm choosing to sit on the couch tonight for a purpose because I need that rest. Right?
I
I
love that.
know that I'm not going to get any benefit necessarily. I might actually hurt myself going to do that workout. But am I choosing not to do that work because I want to sit on the couch? Literally no reason way to look at it.
I love that. I love that you drew that connection. That is so huge, because I wasn't going to make that connection, and you're so right. And it can circle back to that connection with family and friends. Like if you're sitting on the couch every night for 2 hours watching TV with your partner, that isn't connection. That's not what I mean by connection. That's just a shitty habit that's not getting you closer to your goals. But if you have like a family ritual of sitting down once every week or two and watching a movie as a family, like, yeah, that's got a purpose to it. That's different than just mindlessly binge watching your favorite TV show on Netflix into the late hours of the night, and it's taking away from your sleep. Like that is pulling you from your goals. So really, really consider the purpose over pleasure. And I know a lot of people will take that to the extreme. Purpose is only if it's for my body. Well, that's not what I mean. There's multiple branches to purpose. Like it's okay if the purpose is for other areas of your health than just your physical health. But if we can start to not even eliminate the pleasure opportunities, but minimize them and really decide where they can fit in order to get to our goals, I think that's a huge lesson that people can take from this.
And I think finding ways to make that pleasure purposeful, right? So like you said, when it comes to nutrition, even though, if it's a random pizza night and maybe you decided, okay, I want purposeful eating, I'm not going to have pizza. Well, instead, we can still enjoy that family time, and maybe we're making, I don't know, cauliflower pizza. You're trying to make it more, it can still be towards your goal and towards your purpose, but still in a pleasure kind of environment. So finding those opportunities.
And in the same sense, say you decide to have that pizza. Well, the first slice or two, the purpose of it is to fill you up, to add nutrients that you need. We need to eat, obviously. So the first slice or two or whatever it might be, depending on your size and your goals, the first couple slices are still serving a purpose of feeding you. There will get a point where you are now eating for pleasure because you do not need more food, right?
Right.
And we've all been there. We've all been to the point where we're stuffed to the point like we're like, why did I eat so much food? I need to lay on the couch and unbuckle my pants like I ate 3 servings of Christmas dinner. Well, the last 2 servings were probably for pleasure.
Yeah.
So I think if you start to look at things with that light, it can help you. It can help you along the way for sure. If you always take a minute before you make that decision and consider that. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover. I love that you took it into the exercise realm too, because all of our other guiding principles are able to go both ways. So I find it cool that you drew that connection too. Is there anything else you wanted to cover? I think we've got everything that I had wanted to get to on this episode. So the nutrition tip or the recipe that I actually have for you guys today, Jerrika mentioned pumpkin on the last episode, and it made me think of this. This is like one of my favorite recipes, and I often forget to do it. It's pumpkin. So if you listen to the last episode, it is canned pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling, just pure pumpkin. And you actually mix it in cottage cheese with a little bit of crushed walnuts and some cinnamon and some vanilla protein powder. And people are going to ask me the amounts. I don't have amounts. I just freestyle. But these things together, so vanilla protein powder, pumpkin, cottage cheese, and some walnuts and cinnamon. So 5 things mixed together, tastes like exactly like pumpkin pie. Like, I'm not lying to you when I say this. I wouldn't lie to you. I appreciate you guys listening, so I'm not going to lie to you. But it's not a ton of pumpkin. So I think it's like I would use about a cup of cottage cheese, I'd say, with like a spoon or 2 of pumpkin, and then a full scoop of vanilla protein powder, a dash of cinnamon, and like a couple crushed up walnuts. Try it. I promise you'll like it. I don't even like cottage cheese that much, and I love this recipe. So try it and let me know what you think, because I promise this won't let you down. This is going to be like sludge. Like, people are like so afraid to try sludge, and everybody who tries it loves it. If you haven't tried sludge, check it out. It's in our free Facebook group, or message me and I'll send you the recipe. Yeah, that's what I wanted to cover. I think you'll like it for sure, Jer. Once again, guys,
I don't even like cottage cheese, and I'm gonna try it.
You do like cottage cheese?
I don't.
Yeah, see, I don't really like it either. But this recipe is amazing.
Trying it.
Once again, guys, thank you for listening. Make sure you rate this episode, leave a review. I know we've had some internet connection issues. We'll get it sorted out for our next episode, so you don't have to listen to us glitching out. But that's part of the fun. And share this with your friends if you found it helpful, and if you know a friend that might find it helpful. And make sure you shoot us a message and let us know what you want to hear next. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.